Thank you, Shopify, for sponsoring this video. Hello, welcome to this video. I'm Brooke Cormier, and one of the questions that I'm asked quite a lot is how much I work per week as a full-time artist, and also how I can kind of achieve a good work-life balance when I am self-employed and juggling studio time and business stuff and also life. It's funny because I feel like I always kind of resisted the idea of working 9 to 5 and answering to a boss and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm self-employed, I'm my own boss, and instead of working 9 to 5, I feel like I work 24/7. Sometimes it's hard to say what constitutes work as an artist because there's so many parts of my job that I love doing so much that I don't even consider it as work, even though it is, because it's an essential part of my creative process. And then, of course, there are parts of my job that really feel like work because they are things that I don't necessarily like doing at all. And so today I thought that I would just kind of walk you through what my workflow is as a full-time artist and how I schedule my days and also stay sane in the process. So my work is kind of split into 4 different categories: sourcing inspiration, my studio time or art making, the business side of it all, and now more recently, YouTube. So sourcing inspiration, what does this look like for me? Well, I usually work from my own reference photos. So sourcing inspiration often is in the form of going out with my camera and taking reference photos. And also, I find inspiration, on Pinterest. I find inspiration in galleries, museums, reading things in books, looking at other artists' websites. There's just all kinds of ways that I source inspiration. And then what I do is kind of keep them all in one place in my Notion template. I actually built this thing called an inspiration catcher where I can take all those little nuggets of inspiration and have them in one place where then I can form ideas from those things so I don't let stuff slip through the cracks. And from there, I can also start forming ideas. So I can take all of those things, think okay, what is it that I want to work on? What are we now bringing into the studio? So this stage is really just the preliminary work and just getting excited about the art making. So how much time does this sourcing inspiration take? That is kind of hard to quantify because it really varies. Sometimes it's very premeditated where it's okay, I kind of have this rough idea for a series. Now I'm going to go out and take these specific pictures for it. I'm going to then seek out this and this and this and this. And this whole thing, could take an entire week or an entire month. Other times, the sourcing inspiration happens very spontaneously, or I'll just have one idea. For example, I did a floral series a few years ago, and honestly, for that series, my idea was just I want to make my own frames. I really just wanted to do some woodworking and try that out, and really the idea of the actual art that would go into the frames was so quick. I was well, I kind of just want to paint some pretty flowers. And the whole point of the series was really focused around the frames. And so the sourcing inspiration for this project was very brief. So yeah, it really depends, but I would say if you were to take my entire job and the percentage of time that I am taking to source inspiration, it's probably no more than 10%. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere. Okay, so after we're done sourcing inspiration, it is studio time, and this is obviously my favorite part of my job. It's where I actually get to paint, and I just love, the creation process and working with my hands and creating something tangible from nothing, so to speak. And that is just what really makes me come alive as an artist, you know? I feel like this is every artist's favorite part of their job. And I don't know about you, but when I dreamed of being a full-time artist, I thought this is what I was going to be doing every single day. I thought I'm going to be a full-time artist, so that means I'm going to be actually painting all the time. How naive of me. Yes, obviously I have to do a lot of other stuff. It's not always painting. I would say in terms of time spent, this probably takes up around 30% of my job. If that, honestly, it's probably more like 25% at this point in my career. Yeah, so we're working on that. I'm working on that. I plan in the next probably 3 years to kind of increase that amount to much more. But at this point and how my business plan is going, it is currently 25% of my time is spent actually in the studio making the art. So at this stage of art making, I have a very clear reference photo that I'm working on, and I do kind of think it's funny when people say,
"Hey, are you painting this from your imagination?"
because that's crazy. I could never ever imagine in 100 years painting something in like high realism without having a reference photo. I've never tried actually, but wow, my mind can't comprehend that. I thank the people who think that I am capable of painting realism with no reference photo. It's just simply not true. I always have a reference photo, and there ain't nothing wrong with that, you guys. When I am in this stage of art making, that is really my main focus. So on my day-to-day, it's like, okay, get up, you know, we're painting today. I always write in my little day planner like BPD, big paint day. And there are BPWs too, big paint weeks, where it's like, okay, that is the focus. We are painting like 6 to 8 hours a day, and I kind of need to do that. Like if I start a project, a painting project, I am definitely not the type of person that can just start a painting and then leave it for months and months and then come back to it later. I have done that before, and it kind of drives me crazy a little bit. I need to see it through. If I start something, I gotta finish it. I don't care if it turns out poorly. I will not leave something unfinished. So yes, during those BPWs, those big paint weeks, I am painting several hours a day and then doing some like business stuff here and there on the side. Also, during this painting process, I am also filming. I'm generally kind of always trying to film. Sometimes I forget, and sometimes I feel like it's really annoying when I'm just really trying to focus on the art making, but then I'm like, oh, I have to set up my camera and like, you know, oh, I should get this angle and that angle. So it can be a bit distracting sometimes, but it is part of this job that I have built for myself that I am kind of constantly documenting what I'm working and then putting it on social media. That is part of the studio time, is kind of documenting the process. After the art making is complete, it's time to sell it. And this is where the business side of being a full-time artist comes in. And this is not my most favorite part of being an artist, and this is the stuff that really does feel like work to me, but it is necessary. We must sell the art. When you want to run a full-time art business, independent of galleries and everything, you are responsible for doing all of your own promotion and all of your own marketing, and that can be quite a lot of work. But before we get into all of that, like social media marketing and all that stuff, the first step after creating the art would be to put my art on my website. And luckily, there is a way that makes this part of the job much easier. My website is run on Shopify, who are kindly the sponsor of today's video. Shopify is a commerce platform that helps you start, grow, and manage a business, and I have been doing all 3 of those things with Shopify for the last 7 years. Whenever I have a new painting to sell, I can easily update my shop using the simple drag and drop store editor. Plus, with easy to use marketing tools and a back office that handles all of my operations, running my business is very efficient. You may already know, but for the past few months, I have been preparing to move overseas from my home in Toronto, Canada to Vienna, Austria, and Shopify has made this ginormous transition so much easier. It's like I can pack up my business into my pocket and sell my art from anywhere. Through this whole process, my online shop has been running smoothly and also looking fantastic with its recent revamp. Shopify has been such an important part of my business for so many years, and I'm happy to know that it will be there to support me through this next chapter of my life in Vienna. So if you'd like to give Shopify a try, you can head to the link shopify.com/BrookeCormier for your free trial. Now, when it comes to social media, I'm always trying to find ways to market and promote my work without it feeling so salesy, you know what I mean? One of the ways that I've been able to kind of do this over the years is just focusing on sharing the creation process rather than like just posting the work and being like, buy it, you know? So I feel like in this way, you're kind of taking your audience along the creation journey a little bit. You're showing them how it's made. You're kind of explaining the inspiration behind the piece. And in this way, if the art is good, it can also kind of sell itself, you know, because people will be like, oh, that's interesting. Oh yeah, I like it. And then when it does come time for you to say, yes, now it's available on my website, hopefully at that point you've already kind of gathered enough interest in it that you won't have to be like, buy it, 50% off, oh, you know. It sucks to have to push so much when it comes to marketing. So yes, I feel like this way is kind of a nice in-between way where it doesn't feel so much like you're shoving, you know, your promotional art stuff down people's throats. It's just like, here's the art, here's how I made it, and it's also available for purchase. And hopefully, if the art is good, it will be enough to then find buyers. I feel like I could go on and on and on about marketing and like those kind of strategies, but I feel like I should save that for another video, or else this one is gonna be 10 hours long. So social media takes up quite a bit of my time, and so does
emails and bookkeeping and order fulfillment and customer service, writing newsletters, packaging and shipping.
I'm probably forgetting some stuff in there, but in general, I would say that all of those things would take up approximately 30% of my total working time. And usually it's kind of scattered throughout the week or month. I'm always doing the business stuff, so it might not be 6 to 8 hours a day like when I'm working on a painting, but it's kind of like at least 1 hour a day I'm dedicating to doing any of those things that I just listed. And the last part of my job, which is a new addition as of 2 years ago, is YouTube. Hello. And I would say that YouTube right now takes up about 35% of my time. And I'm going to try to make a pie chart for you and put it on the screen so that you can kind of see the breakdown percentage-wise. So YouTube, yeah, 35%, but honestly, I think it's going to be a lot more. I'm really focusing on YouTube this year. I hope that I can put out a lot more content, and if I want to put out more videos and stuff, then that means I have to spend much more time on it. Much more of my working time will be dedicated to YouTube. So I see that number increasing a lot, probably to like even 50%. Is that crazy? Maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. It is quite time consuming because when I do work on YouTube, well, what are my responsibilities? They are, first of all, coming up with ideas. I have to kind of think what the video is going to be about, obviously, and then script writing. So sometimes I write full-length scripts if I'm not just winging it like I am now with no script. I mean, I have like talking points where I'll think like, okay, here's the subject I want to talk about. Here are all the talking points. And then I can kind of do it like that. Anyways, script writing, then filming. Do I count the time it takes to do my makeup, to do my hair, to pick out a cute outfit, That's working time too. This whole outfit is a business expense, you guys. Kidding, not kidding. The time it takes to film varies a lot depending on the type of video. As you may have noticed, I've been doing more of these types of videos where they're chill, It's just me talking to the camera. We're not getting fancy with the camera angles. We're not doing a cut to here, a cut to there. It's very bare bones. These types of videos don't take too long to film because I just sit and I yap for an hour or half an hour or whatever. In other videos, if I'm getting a little more fancy, those take a lot of time to film. So there's filming, and then on top of that, there's the editing. And editing is a very large feat. So editing, probably out of the whole time it takes to create a YouTube video, I would say 50% at least is just editing the video. We are adding sound effects. We are adding music. We are doing some color grading. We are doing this and this and this. And anyways, all of those things, they take a lot of time. Not to mention, I always think like, oh, the editing part is over. Cool. Like my work here is done. It's not. I gotta upload it to YouTube. I gotta think, what am I gonna write in the description? Why is that so hard? Why is it always so hard when you have something to post to write a description? Like, it should be easy, but I feel like it's always like, what am I gonna write? Like, what do I have to say about this? I want it to be engaging, but I don't want it to be like weird. And anyways, whatever. Alas, that is kind of what the whole YouTube part of my job looks like. Oh, and responding to comments, because I do love reading all the comments. I like to have conversations around the video. I love hearing the feedback. I want to make sure that when people watch my videos, they know that I am respecting their time, and I feel like by saying thank you, I am letting them know, I'm letting you know that I'm glad you're here, that I'm glad that you are taking the time to watch the video, and that I'm glad that perhaps you are learning something. I hope you are. So I do try to respond to as many comments as I can. This is very challenging sometimes because sometimes there are many comments and I get very overwhelmed and I look at it and I go, oh, I can't deal with that right now. I can't deal with it. So anyway. Also, YouTube sponsorships is something that is new to my job, and luckily I do have some help with this now because I don't really like doing negotiations and that type of thing. It's not something I need on my plate, so I do have a friend that's helping me with that, so that is amazing. And that is, I think, everything to do with the YouTube part of the job. I don't think I missed anything. So yes, I think that I will be spending a lot more time on YouTube this year because that is just the project that I am currently trying to focus on. And I feel like that is just, it makes sense. If you want to focus on something, you got to dedicate more time to it. For example, at the beginning of this year, in preparation for my move overseas, I had this big moving sale, and it was just to try and get rid of all of the inventory, all of the physical inventory that I had in Canada. And this was taking up like all of my time, and basically my time was spent like 50% marketing and then 50% order fulfillment and like packaging and shipping and stuff. And that was like for 2 full weeks, like maybe even 3 weeks. It was just focusing on that. And I was working like 10 to 12 hour days. It was like very intense working mode. It was like, okay, I'm moving, I gotta clear everything out. And then once that was done and all of my painting supplies were still on a ship over to Austria, I only had YouTube to focus on. And this was the time that I was in Florida with my family. And I was only focusing on YouTube at that point. And I was also just working like 4 to 5 hours a day because I was taking it easy. So my schedule varies so much, and the amount of time I spend on everything varies so much. But if you came here and you just wanted to know straight up, how many hours a week does this girl work as a full-time artist? Well, I don't have an answer for you. No, I'm just kidding. I would say probably would probably kind of even out to around 40 hours a week, with some weeks being 60 hours and some weeks being 20 hours. It's really just so up and down, but in general, I would say, yeah, it would round out to about the same as a 9 to 5. After all that, you guys, I'm working a 9 to 5. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that would be kind of an accurate statement. Though very hard to tell because I never actually log my hours, you know? I tried to do that once where I had a little notebook and I was like writing down every single minute of every day, like what I was doing. And you can guess how long that lasted. And now to answer the question of how I achieve my perfect work-life balance. The answer is, I don't know. I don't actually have a perfect work-life balance. I'm still working on that. I think that it's a constant practice and a constant learning experience how to balance work life, studio life, business life all together. But I can kind of share some things that I feel like have helped me. This next tip isn't really something that I can recommend as advice, but what I can say is that having somebody that I live with, aka my husband, who works a regular kind of hours, more or less 9 to 5, this kind of inspires me to also work within that time so that we can have the evenings together. Because before, when I wasn't living with anybody, I would just work endless hours. Like, I was living with my parents, and at this point my husband and I were dating and doing long distance from Canada to Austria. So yeah, I really had a lot of time to focus on my work. And guess what? I ended up working all the time because I was like, okay, I don't have any plans. At that point also a lot of my friends had kind of moved out of my hometown. So it was just me and my parents, and I was working so much, and that was not good for me. Now that my husband and I live together, we have been for many years now, but that really kind of gave me the push where I was like, okay, it's not fair if I'm working until 10 p.m. at night. I will do my best to work during the hours that he's gone so that when he comes home, then it's quality time. It's quality time. We make dinner together. If you watch the Week in My Life video that I put out a few months ago, it's pretty accurate. Anyway, I feel like that may not be advice to give, because the advice is not go ahead and get yourself a partner to live with. I think that the advice is maybe for the people that you love, for the people that you like to spend your time with, try and figure out when they are free, when they have their non-working hours, and try and, line that up so that you can also spend time with the ones you love, regardless of whether or not you live with them or things like that. Also, I generally don't work on weekends anymore, so I try and give myself the weekends off. Sometimes that's not possible if I'm working on something, that has a deadline coming up, or sometimes I really want to work on something and I end up working on the weekends. But in general, I do like to take most of the weekends off, and that is the time that I spend reconnecting with my personal life. Sometimes it's weird to think of like business Brooke and like online social media Brooke and then like my personal life Brooke. I don't know. They're the same person, but sometimes I really got to connect with one or the other, and I feel like weekends are a big personal Brooke time, and I will make sure that I'm making plans with friends or going out into nature and just taking that time to really connect with my loved ones. Another thing that I think helps with work-life balance is reminding myself how lucky I am truly to be a full-time artist and to have this career. I feel like when I think about all of the troubles I have in my career and like whenever I'm having a problem and I just sit back and think like, wait a second, I'm actually really, really lucky to be having this problem right now. Or just thinking like, I'm so fortunate to be able to do this. It's actually really crazy when I think about it. And when I can kind of sit and have this daily gratitude for the work that I'm doing, I don't know, like somehow it kind of does really help with balancing out like my happiness levels, I guess. Like when I'm having a problem, hey, take a beat, think about this life you have. We're back on track. I don't know if that's really work-life balance, but I feel like having just like a daily gratitude practice, whatever that is, whether that's writing in your journal or whether that's just like taking a moment every day to think about something that you're grateful for, I think that helps. And it probably helps every single person, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your job is. So try it out. And if I'm ever feeling like my work life is suffering or my personal life is suffering, I feel like I'm pretty good in general at kind of stopping and trying to identify the problem. I think that anybody's biggest superpower is to be a problem solver. So no matter what kind of trouble you come across, it's okay, let's think about the solution. Try and be the best problem solver that you can. If you're experiencing any kind of trouble, sit down and think about it. What is really the problem? Are you working too much? Are you not working enough? Are you having trouble with boundaries? Are you having blah, blah, blah? You know what I mean? Just like identify the problem and try to come up with the solutions that you need to solve said problem. That's such dumb advice. It's really, when I think about it, like, hey, if you're having a problem, sit down and think about the solution. Like, okay, genius. Anyways, to give you a little update on the life situation, I have arrived in Vienna. I didn't do any kind of like cinematic Viennese shots at the beginning of this video because it's terrible weather out today, but that will be in the coming videos. I'm looking forward to going out with my camera and shooting around here because I'm just reminded I love this city so much. It's so beautiful. I just went on a walk yesterday and I was like, wow, I'm enjoying it a lot already. I've been here for like a week and a half, I think, and it's been a huge whirlwind. Lots of things to still figure out, including having a place to live. But luckily I can stay with my in-laws in the meantime, and it's very comfortable and we're enjoying a lot of quality time together, which is great. So thankful for that. And I'm also thankful that I can go back to my old studio in Vienna starting in March, which is awesome. If you have watched past videos and you know what's up, I used to have a studio here in Vienna when I lived here in 2018, 2020. COVID times, it was the best studio ever, and they have made some room for me to come back, and I'm even going back to like the same spot that I was before, so it's kind of like a full circle moment. Anyways, that's next month. I get to go back to my new old art studio, and my paint is still on a ship somewhere on the Atlantic. I'm hoping that arrives soon because I'm just itching to get back to painting. I feel like it's been so long and I'm having like painting withdrawal. I just really want to get my hands dirty again, you know? I've been doing so much filming without actually like creating anything. I mean, I guess filming and making videos is creating in some way, but I just miss painting. So I'm really excited to get back to there, and maybe I'll give you a studio tour when I move in. I still have to like get myself an easel and a chair and a desk and like those essential things, but I'm gonna try and find some secondhand stuff, and I will keep you updated. If you want to be more updated, I probably will be posting more stuff like in my broadcast channel called Studio Tings on my Instagram account, which I will put my Instagram on the screen. It's just Brooke Cormier. You can just look me up there if you're interested. And if not, that's cool too. I hope that you liked this video. I hope that you continue to see me on the YouTube. Hopefully going to be posting a lot more videos this year. So if you liked it, let me know. If you have anything that you want me to discuss in a future video, also let me know, because I have plenty of ideas, but I'm always open to new ones. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed our time together today. I am drinking a herbal tea. It is actually my favorite herbal tea. It's called Familientee from Sonnentor, which I think is maybe an Austrian brand. They're here in Austria, but anyways, it's just like the perfect herbal mix. I drink this before bed during the day when I have had too much caffeine already. It's great. If you're drinking tea, let me know what kind while we hang out and have our drinking tea parties. Cheers. Cheers. Prost, I should say. Please subscribe if you like the video. I hope to see you again soon. I'm Brooke Cormier, and I'll see you next time. See you next time.